Welcome to the show. My name is Larry Herb, Xbox Live's Major Nelson. It's after the holiday here in the U.S., and I've got to just kind of pull the lever. It's really heavy to bring Jeff in because he's had so much turkey. Ugh.
There it is. Thank you,
Wow.
Larry.
Wow.
It's good to be back. I finally have slept off. It took a week. Slept off the turkey and the sides. It's really the sides that get you.
What are your favorite sides?
Can I tell you my favorite side I made this year?
Please.
So I always sweet potatoes, candied yams were always my favorite. My grandma, may she rest in peace. This was our first Thanksgiving without her.
Yeah.
We probably would not have been with her
Sure.
due to COVID, but she passed away earlier this year. And so I took the mantle and I was like, I'll make a sweet potato thing. So I did a little different because I could never make it as good as she does.
You never can.
No. And it was to the point where when I was a hungry teen, she would literally make a separate container of them just for me, of
Right.
3 or 4 pounds of sweet potatoes, because I would just go to town.
Consume 10,000 calories and you'd still be rail thin.
But think of all the vitamin A, Larry. My eyes, I could see through walls after all those sweet potatoes.
That's why I'm wearing glasses and you're not. So.
Exactly. See, so I just cut up some sweet potatoes and I stirred them. You ever see something called aminos? It's like a jar of something. Anyway, it's sort of like a soy sauce, and I made it with some aminos and brown sugar. I got this out of a website or something, and I baked it for like an hour. Sprinkled some sesame seeds on them. It was amazing.
So
they were really, really good.
You didn't put like little marshmallows?
Check on that.
File a bug?
File a bug or send in an assassin. One or the other. The problem gets solved either way.
But you're not done with the game yet, are you?
No. So I am just trying to. I said.
Let's take a look at this. Hold on.
What was that?
Is this right? So that's me on the left for Valhalla because I have not started it yet. You've only played 13 hours? That doesn't seem.
No, that's not accurate. Because it's. I don't. It's weird the hell that's tracking, but yeah. There's
You're
my
doing
progress.
well though.
Yeah, I'm up to 75 hours on my save game. So, and I still haven't beaten it,
Right.
as you can see.
Oh, is that what it is? Because that's right. In the save games, it'll tell you how long you've played. That's right.
Exactly. So, you've called out an area that our API needs. We need to check on that.
File a bug?
File a bug or send in an assassin. One or the other. The problem gets solved either way.
But you're not done with the game yet, are you?
No. So I am just trying to. I set out an ambitious effort. I cleared out my backlog over the summer, which was great. And then we started playing Watch Dogs Legion. We both got very into that. My goal was to beat that before Assassins came out.
Did we talk about that on the last show? Because I know we
did.
We did. We talked about I finished it. Now you have finished it since then.
Yes, yeah. So we both have finished Watch Dogs,
and then storyline. Oh, so good.
That's great. It's great at the end. And Bagley is a voice actor. The same voice actor is a voice in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. He's in your hunter's hut. He's the one you turn in these sort of hunting. When you get these fangs and skins, all these things, you'll see him, or you'll hear him, I should say. But yeah, and so my goal is to beat Valhalla before we get Cyberpunk 2077, and I think I will get in under the wire. So I think I've got 3 more regions left to go in the game. And it is, I've played and I've beaten all of the Assassins except for Unit, I want to say. And this is easily the biggest one.
But it's still manageable. Because I know that in previous games, they've been so big, you get frightened off, right?
Yeah. The way it works, this is more of a pull instead of a push mechanic. It used to be you would go up and you'd synchronize at those roosts and you would just see, here's a collecting quest and here's more of a story quest and here's a hunting thing or whatever. Here you just see dots on the map and they're just one of 3 colors and you decide to engage or not to engage, but they have more of a lore because you're like, I don't know what that is. It could be a little nothing, could be just a little mask, a Roman mask collect, or it could be something really cool. And so you end up doing more of them, I think, than you did before. But at this point, I'm trying to just focus. I've got all my stuff leveled up. I've got some great armor and all this other weapons. And I have a very Jon Snow-esque sword and it's you do some damage with it. So anyway, just try to like sew up my alliances, but it's really cool. Just it's going to make me dig into it. I've started digging into like Middle Ages English history and Alfred the Great and what the Romans did there. And next time we go, and let's hope that we can go back to the UK at some point in 2021, I want to seek out some Roman ruins, and I want to see some of the stuff, that's now 2,000 years old.
You want to see that stuff? All right.
I have looked it up, and I have a list of places I want to go in London. But if I can get outside of London, there's places I want to go to.
Well, I'm that you do that. I'm going to go because by then I'm sure in the UK some.
Series X and S has been a really exciting time for the team. It was exciting to announce that this launch was the biggest launch in our history, launching in 40 countries on day one. And, one of the things that was really exciting to see was that players played almost 3,600 games on day one, which is something we've never seen in a console launch before. So really from the engineering team, the team's just really humbled and gratified by the worldwide response to our launch. And we just really want to say thank you to the fans and gamers all across the world.
Now, Jason, I also want to point out that, launching a console is a big deal for our partners, for hardware, for software, for engineering. But doing it in the middle of a pandemic, I mean, that's frankly, it's never been done before, right? It takes the difficulty and puts it on insane.
Absolutely. And even since launch, the teams continued to be really hard at work, monitoring launch, listening to feedback from the community. And as we said in the lead up, day one is just the beginning, and the team has done an incredible job. And just even earlier this week, we released our first major update since launch. And one of the important things was to really respond to some of that feedback and including some of those top requested fan features in this update that we released just this week.
Yeah, can you go through some of those? Because there's actually a lot of stuff in there that I was like, oh wow, we shipped that already? Because I know I've seen it in our take home builds.
Absolutely. So some of the features that are included in this week's release are we've added new dynamic backgrounds because we really saw a lot of positive feedback from the community, and they wanted to see more backgrounds coming in. We also added an auto HDR indicator in the guide to let players know when auto HDR is actually being applied to titles in the backwards compatibility catalog. And then we also added optimized for Xbox Series X and S badging to your collection because players wanted to know which games have actually been updated to take advantage of some of these next-gen capabilities with the Xbox Series X and S.
Yeah, you can see it right here. I've got it. This is my actual dashboard on my home console, and you can see when they're Game Pass, and you can clearly see what's going on there. And then you can actually go up here as well and group by console type, so you can kind of see what's going on there. That's a great feature.
Exactly. And the other thing too is, we also want to make sure that we're always delivering the best experience possible for players. So we fixed a number of bugs that the community has reported since launch, such as improvements to game DVR quality and just overall platform stability to make sure that players get that great experience they expect.
Yeah, I mean it's been an amazing launch so far. The one thing that I want to point out is, as I said earlier, is that look, we know you want to get a console. We're working as hard as we can to get them to everybody around the world. There's also a lot of other things that we've seen, as the team has been working on these development in terms of you have the 2011 release, but we also we've seen some questions around some questions around quick resume, as well as maybe some seeing some of the optimized titles that are now getting updates. Can you talk a little bit about the updates?
Yeah, you mentioned before, like the challenge of developing a new platform in a global pandemic. Our launch title partners have faced the exact same challenges that we have. And as you mentioned, you've seen a number of updates post-launch from our partners. And, as I like to explain to people on the team who have never gone through a console launch before, making games is hard. Making games for a new console generation is really hard because it's a brand new hardware platform. There's brand new capabilities. Developers are really learning how to take advantage of this. But then to launch brand new games at a console launch in the middle of a global pandemic, that is an insane level of difficulty, as you mentioned before. And we're partnered very closely with all the developers across the community, and it's really important to us that we monitor these launches and we partner very closely with them to provide updates to the titles to make sure that players are getting that best-in-class experience that they expect. And all of our development partners across the industry have done an incredible job not only delivering launch experiences on day one, but continuing to update and improve them post-launch.
Yeah, I mean, and this is, it's important to point out, and I talk about this on most shows, is that even though we ship the console, it's not like the engineering team said, all right, Thanksgiving, Christmas, see you in January. the men and women of the team are continuing to work, and as you said, just shipped out an update, and I'm sure we may even have another one. I don't know. But there's no shortage of things to do, and there's a lot of updates that are coming to just make the experience the best that it possibly can be, both on the platform side as well as with our gaming partners, right?
Absolutely. And as we work with these partners, there's different kinds of issues that can come up as developers are starting to learn and understand how to take advantage of this platform. And in some cases, they're just simply bugs in the titles. And we partner very closely with them, and the developers will go ahead and fix those bugs because they're just as committed to delivering that premium experience as we are. In other cases, it's learning how to use this next generation platform. Even beyond the raw hardware capabilities, these are custom built devices and they have unique capabilities beyond the raw hardware themselves. So really educating developers and partnering with them on how to get the most out of these systems. And then occasionally developers identify bugs in the platform itself. And just like we respond to gamer feedback, we respond to developer feedback as well. So anytime that we identify a bug in the platform, we fix it as quickly as possible, get it out to our development partners. So it's really this collaboration between us on the platform team and the game developers all across the industry.
Yeah, and it's important to point out, the feedback we get from the game developers, it's very different from the feedback that we get from customers, in that, customers will go to Reddit or Twitter and they'll hit you up and they'll hit me up if I found this bug, whereas there's constant communication that people may not see, but there's a tremendous amount of work and communication going back and forth between the Xbox team and developers and publishers to make sure that the title is running as peak as possible. One of the features that people are really excited about when they got their Series X and Series S is Quick Resume. And for those of us that have used it, I know you've used it, and there's a lot of my listeners and viewers who have used it, it's game changing. And can you give us an update on Quick Resume?
Yeah, Quick Resume is a really exciting feature for us, and it's unique to the Xbox Series X and Series S, and it's really designed to get players back into the fun as quickly as possible. And at launch, Quick Resume was enabled for thousands of games on day one. But as we mentioned prior to launch, as some of these launch games were coming in, we identified some bugs in Quick Resume with some of these new optimized titles, and we made the decision to actually disable Quick Resume for some of these titles because we want to make sure that players have that best-in-class experience that you mentioned. So we thought it was better to disable it while we were working through some of these issues that were unique to specific titles. And since launch, the team's been working really, really hard, and we've re-enabled Quick Resume for more than 20 Xbox Series X and Series S optimized titles, including Gears 5, Yakuza Like a Dragon, and just this week we re-enabled Quick Resume for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Yeah. And we're going to continue to work very closely with partners to make sure that the future is working as we expect. We'll continue to re-enable this for as many titles as we can over the coming days and weeks. And then we're going to really make sure that players are getting the premium they expect.
Yeah, and it's also important to point out that, as time goes on, in a few weeks and a few months and beyond, Quick Resume will just work for all the titles that are there to continue to come out. We're just in this interesting transition period from the previous gen to this gen where we've made a commitment where we're not just going to draw a line in the sand and say, oh, your old games just work on the old stuff and you got to get new games. We're in this kind of bridge position where we've seen the optimized titles, we're using smart delivery. So there's a lot of things that are happening, but eventually in the coming weeks, it's just going to melt away and this will all just be a memory, right, Jason?
Yeah, well, and you mentioned before, like we get different feedback from game developers than we do from gamers. And like another area that we're listening to feedback from the community is, how gamers want to use quick resume, and we're really listening to that feedback. And like some of the feedback that we've heard is the ability to know which games are quick resume enabled versus not. Or knowing which titles have a current quick resume state saved off, and other ideas that players have. So we're continuing to listen to that feedback. And as you said, we're really at the beginning of the journey. So we'll have more updates to share to respond to this feedback in the coming weeks and the coming months.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Forza Horizon 4. These are some of the ones that I've tested. I put a little note here. The Tourist, Grounded, Planet Coaster, Arc, Apex Legends has been working great. Planet Coaster. Let's see. I've also checked out Judge, Bridge Constructor, Walking Dead. Well, that's a fun one. So there's a bunch of different titles in there, and I know that you and the team are going to continue to work on this and make Quick Resume really, really work with as many titles as you can, right?
Absolutely. The team, like you mentioned, nobody post-launch decided to just disappear. We're here, we're listening, we're responding, and we want to make sure that we're really focused on listening to that feedback and getting updates out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great time. We're going to make sure that everything's working great. So, of course, making sure you have the great games and then, the great games and the system for the holiday coming up over the next few weeks. But the other thing we're doing, and Jason, I know you're not prepared to talk about this, but I'll do it, is we're making sure the service is stable, because Xbox Live is stable, because holiday is a huge time for us. So we're always making sure that that's working. So we got a lot going on here, and the folks here at Xbox are really making sure that you're going to have a great experience. Now, Jason, it seems like every 3 to 5 weeks I have you on, I'm just going to, I'm going to put a chair right next to me with a divider so that we can, do a say. Maybe you should just come co-host the show at this rate, but I'd love to have you on again if you're interested in sometime in the future.
I'm always excited to come on, and really for me as a representative from the engineering team, I just really want to say thank you again to everybody in the community. We couldn't be happier and more humbled by the response from the community, and we really just appreciate the continued support and feedback, and we're excited for what's yet to come.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I love launching. This is, you and I have talked about this before. Is this your second or third console launch? Because it's my third. How many are you in on this?
So it's my third generation, fourth console launch.
Right.
So we've done this for a while together.
We have, and we're going to continue to do it. We're going to continue to have fun. Jason, thanks so much. I hope you have a nice holiday. You and the rest of the team. I know you're still hard at work, so thank you for everything that you do, and continue to bring us great gaming experiences.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you so much, Jason. And look, if you want to see all of those things that Jason just explained to us written down in convenient, browsable, skimmable format, go over to Xbox Wire. Exactly. There's a big post entitled November 2020 Console